Welcome to... Wow, this is actually crazy. It's been 4 months since I last uploaded anything. But, because of the recent, let's say, bad luck with the Marvel... Anything Marvel, actually, not just the MCU. But, I thought we could rank everything that we've gotten so far from Marvel. Not just from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but from the Sony films like Venom and, Morbius. Yeah, the new Disney Plus shows haven't really been getting much likeage either from critics and or audiences. Critics didn't really care for Moon Knight. A lot of audiences did. Critics are literally hating Ms. Marvel. It is a 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb, making it the lowest rated Disney Plus show on IMDb right now. Yeah, it's not going well. Morbius was terrible. I think we all know that. But we're going through every single MCU show, MCU movie, and all of the Sony Spider-Man verse things as well. And also the Netflix shows. So let's start. We're going to start from the bottom because I feel like closer to the top it gets a little weirder. So we're going to start with What If. Now, What If? Oh! What If was good. I liked What If. It really didn't go along a storyline, which is the only complaint I had for that show. It was just a bunch of little stories that got very good. Like the Doctor Strange, if he lost his heart instead of his hands, that was probably best episode hands down. It had lots of emotion it's not just, when you look at it, you would think it's just messy fun. And the first two episodes are that. The Black Panther, if he was Star-Lord, and the Captain Carter one. Those two are just messy fun. The rest, they get really complex, and you would not expect that from this show. And it exceeded expectations for me, which is why I am going to put it at A. So this list goes by IMDb ratings, and it's a 8 out of 8.9, but it wasn't an S tier because I didn't really care for the first episode. I honestly almost stopped watching the show regularly because of the first episode, but I started to enjoy the second episode, the third episode, which was, what was the third episode? Where all the Avengers just blew up. It was insane. Like, every single Hulk, popped. It was insane. But, yeah, that was how I feel about What If. WandaVision. Best Disney Plus show, hands down. It had every single genre that you could think of. Like, literally every episode was something new. It was, if you haven't heard of WandaVision, it was the first Disney Plus show. It wasn't supposed to be. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to be the first one, and this was supposed to come after that. But I don't think that really mattered. I wonder if it did. I don't know. The director, Matt Shankman, didn't, or Shatman, I don't know. Is it Shankman or Shatman? I have no idea. But, he didn't confirm if this was going to do that, because this was COVID era. This came out January 2021. It came out 9 episodes, I believe, and each episode going up to episode 6. I think 6 was when they stopped doing this. And I think 4 didn't do it at all. But each episode from that point on was a different sitcom style. It did 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and then I don't think it really did 90s. I think it skipped the 90s and went straight to, Modern Family era. But, I enjoyed that they were parodying over that, because they obviously knew that they were being over the top with what sitcoms they were going beyond for, so I like that. And the dynamic of the story, it was very depressing, very sad. You really understood more what Wanda was really going through, because you see her faces. You see her face, the faces that she makes in, the past MCU stuff. Obviously, Infinity War, she got to be more the character and kind of show her feelings and how what she's been going through since Age of Ultron, and even beyond that, too. We got to know her character a little bit better. Usually, she's just known as that girl. You know, she wasn't even called the Scarlet Witch until this show. Obviously, because of licensing reasons. Technically, she's a mutant. That's why they couldn't say her name because, Fox, but now they own Fox, and they could say that. So, what other good stuff was in this? I like the family dynamic in this. The family dynamic in this was great. I liked the ties that this had with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I would not have enjoyed that movie much if I didn't see WandaVision. So if you're planning on seeing Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness on Disney Plus, which is out on there now, you gotta watch at least the last 3 episodes of WandaVision first. Even if you... Because the first, 4 are just sitcom-y. They don't really show much. The entirety of the first episode had nothing to do with any of the other episodes. It was literally just setting up a sitcom story. There was one scene in that first episode, but that was it. My favorite episode of that season, or that, that season, would probably be episode 8, when we got to, explore her past more, and what she went through, instead of, in Age of Ultron, we just talked about it. We didn't see anything. We just heard her speak and talk to Ultron about it, talk to Tony about it. We got to see where the Vision Wanda thing started, because that came out of, nowhere in Civil War. We got to see what really happened with the Stark Bomb. We got to see what the Mind Stone really did to her. It actually didn't give her her powers. It heightened them. It gave her the ability to use them more. She already had them, but they weren't as powerful, if you know what I mean. I think that was called Previously On. That was a really good episode. I really liked the villain in WandaVision. We all knew it was going to be Agatha Harkness, because Agatha Harkness, it just makes so much sense. No, Mephisto wasn't in this. That was the only thing that I hated about this. Mephisto was not in this. They were obviously hinting towards it, but Mephisto was not in this, nor in Doctor Strange. But it was a really good show. I am definitely going to put it in S tier. It changed not only the fabric of the MCU, but what would go past the MCU from this point. It gave shows more ability to shine on Disney Plus. It gave them more attention, and it allowed a lot more things with the MCU as a whole. So it was a good kickstart. Venom. Oh, we just went from something good to something somewhat bad. Now, let me talk about the good things I like before I talk about all the bad things about this movie. The good things. Tom Hardy's performance. I didn't mind it. I thought it was great. I still don't have confirmation if he actually did the voice of Venom as well, but I really liked how he tackled that character, even if it wasn't what the character was in the comics, which is another bad thing. Another good thing, I really liked the relationship between Venom and Eddie. It was a nice buddy cop 90s comedy style. I liked it. I really liked the I'm trying to think of good things about this. It's not terrible, okay? It's just okay. It's not bad, it's just okay. It's definitely not average. It's just okay. And even average and okay are kind of synonyms, but still, it wasn't okay. It was okay. I agree with the Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's at 30% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is right. I still can't think of anything else good about this movie. There's got to be at least one more thing. The symbiote battles. I loved every time Venom was on screen and was kicking major butt. I loved that. I got goosebumps every time I saw the face go over Eddie's face. That I got goosebumps every time. From the SWAT team fight, even though you couldn't really see what he was doing, it was so cool. From him fighting with Riot, that was awesome. But other than that, those were the only good things. Everything else was terrible. I didn't like what they did with Eddie's character. I didn't like what they did with the villain. It obviously, I'm glad it wasn't Carnage, because it led up to an actually good movie, Venom Let There Be Carnage, which I see is next. But at the time, I was mad what they did with Riot. even though that's probably what Riot would have been like. But he seemed just like he's just like a villain. He didn't do anything. I don't even know what his motive was. I don't remember what it was to, like, shoot a rocket up into Nor, whatever it's called. It's not Nor. What is it? I don't know. But it's the planet full of symbiotes and stuff. The trailer hinted at so much other symbiotes, and we only got this one. I was so mad about that. We saw Screech, or, not Screech, the yellow one, Toxin. I think it was Toxin. It was either, it was like a yellowy, blacky kind of thing. I forget what it was called, but, that they hinted at so many other symbiotes that I just kind of got a little mad. I hated what they did with, what's her name? The Eddie's wife. I didn't like what they did with that. It felt very rushed. It felt very, like, forced. It felt like that was trying to be the only dramatic thing in this movie. It tried to be that one thing that Eddie was trying to hold on to, which should have been, like, his abusive parents, not marriage. And even the marriage was like, oh, I don't want to date you anymore. I'm just, get out, you know? It didn't feel... I didn't like their relationship at all. It made up for in Venom Let There Be Carnage. I liked it better than that. But overall, I'm going to put Venom at... Where did it go? At AD. Or C. Okay, there's no D. I don't know if there's going to be a haven't watched. I've pretty much seen all of these. Now, Venom Let There Be Carnage. That is a different story. I enjoyed this. This was a good movie. It did a lot more with Eddie's character. It tried very hard to be better than the first movie, and it was. I think it was significantly better. It did Eddie's character better. It made his life more tragic. There was a scene where Venom was trying to convince him not to kill himself, which was great, even though it felt very quick and it should have went on a little bit longer, but I still liked that. Obviously, this was dumb fun. Most of this movie is dumb fun. It's one of those, like, 90s blockbusters that you felt like you need to watch, but it was kind of like more of a date night movie. But other than that, I really liked what they did with Cletus Cassidy in this. Woody Harrelson brought none of that original haircut in this movie. I'm so glad they got rid of that stupid haircut. I like what they did with his and Eddie's relationship. They hinted at a new symbiote. I forgot. I think that's Toxin that the detective got. But I like the post-credit scene in this movie. This post-credit scene was one of the best post-credit scenes I've seen from a non-MCU Marvel movie. I like the direction this movie went in too. I liked how it, like, ended in, like, a church. I can't think of anything else good. I haven't watched this movie in a while. Last time I saw it was in theaters for a second time. I saw it 2 times. Who else? Oh, Shriek. Shriek in this movie was just having a blast. I could tell that Woody Harrelson was having a blast playing this character. I apologize, I forgot the name that played Shriek. But she was having a complete blast, too. I felt like Tom Hardy was still trying his best to make this a really good movie, and I admire that. He was doing... And Venom actually had an arc in this, which was really cool to see. He, like, had this, like, coming out party. It was awesome. But, other than that, I thoroughly enjoyed Venom Let There Be Carnage. I'm going to put it at a B. It wasn't A. It was still just dumb fun. Like, obviously, this movie had a bunch of problems still, but it wasn't as many problems as the first Venom movie had, and I could tell they took time to fix that, and Andy Serkis directed this, which I was very happy about that. He directed Planet of the Apes, so. Next is Thor. This one's okay. Looking back at the first 2 Thor movies, it's kind of depressing. I like what they did with his character in this. Like, it felt like an origin story, even though he was already Thor. But he started this movie as, like, a stupid idiot. Ended this movie as, like, a wise person. I don't know, a wise god. And then he became another stupid idiot. But that's beyond the point. So, this movie definitely this movie felt like it was trying to be one of those episodes of a Disney Plus show that was purely just to hint to the next episode. There's always that one episode that just means nothing to the story, and it just needed to hype you up for the next episode. That's what this movie felt like. It felt like it was just hyping us toward the Avengers movie, which was the movie that came out after this one. I believe, was it? Because Captain America and this one came out in the same year. I don't remember, but I remember this coming out after Iron Man 2. So, that happened. But yeah, that's what it feels like to me. It's very good. I liked seeing the comedy from being, like, this washed up dummy on a planet you've never been on. Like, that kind of dynamic. I don't know what it's called. What kind of dynamics I call it. I don't know. I shouldn't be the one doing this. But Thor can be another B. I felt like it was just there just for plot. Like, for, like, Phase 1, I felt like it was just there just to set up Thor, be able to get him in the Avengers and all that. But, Thor the Dark World. F. I hated this movie. I didn't even tolerate it. It did so much wrong in so much ways. You know what? I'm being a little harsh. I think it's C. But, I did not tolerate this movie. I wasn't even excited to see this. I didn't even think much of it when the trailer came out. This was the same problem I had with Batman v Superman. It just talking, not showing. It was just talking. And I haven't seen this movie enough to really criticize it. I've seen it twice. Once when it came on Disney Plus, and I was rewatching the MCU up until what was it? Spider-Man Now? I don't think it was. I don't remember what movie I was rewatching it for, but yeah, I didn't like. I really don't like this movie. I can't put into words what went wrong with this movie. Well, I hated the villain. He barely even spoke. What they did with the Reality Stone was somewhat comic accurate, but not really. I didn't like Loki in this. He didn't feel like very Loki to me. This was probably the least Loki out of all of them. He did fake his own death, which is a very Loki thing to do. All the characters felt rushed. They felt like just stereotypical writing, especially Jane, Natalie Portman in this. I could care less if Jane was in this. Honestly, it was because of this movie that didn't excite me to see Jane in Thor: Love and Thunder. I don't like this movie. I don't like what it stands for. I didn't feel like it really made the character of Thor grow either. I don't even think it really contributed to the MCU other than being in the MCU and showing us the Aether, I guess, and the post-credit scene, which the post-credit scene set up Guardians of the Galaxy, which I liked. But other than that, I did not like Thor. Now, Thor Ragnarok, baby. Oh my god. Miles better than Thor the Dark World. Everything it did right. I didn't have one complaint with this movie. Thing one, it changed the character of Thor to a likable person, a likable idiot. Two, he was like the Hulk, which is another reason why I like this movie. His relationship with the Hulk, they both could like grow off of their stupidity and their just recklessness, and I loved it. It made the character of Hulk grow. It made the character of Thor grow. The villain in this, hello, miles better than Malekith. Miles better than, well, I shouldn't say Loki because Loki is awesome. Miles better than Laufey. I actually cared about this villain, even though all she really, literally, this character could be summed up in 2 words. Kill it. That's literally what Hela was. All she wanted to do was kill people. She wanted to take over Asgard. She just wanted to be a queen of everything. And they turned that into a remarkably hilarious character. They turned it into a crazy movie. I liked what Taika Waititi did with this. I liked all of his stuff before he did Thor Ragnarok. I loved... he did Jojo Rabbit after this. I liked What We Do in the Shadows. That was a perfect movie. I loved that. What else did this movie do right? I loved Jeff Goldblum in this. I know a lot of people don't really care for Jeff Goldblum in most of his stuff, like Independence Day 2, or Jurassic Park. A lot of people didn't really care about him in that. But I liked what he did with the Grandmaster in this. He wasn't like an overpowerful being. He was just a ruler. Like, he was one of those people that, like one of those kings that just was there at the right place at the right time, and he became king, and that's how he stayed king, because no one else was there, really. He just, like, said, oh, I'm gonna make a kingdom of this, and then that's what happened. But this movie, just like Venom Let There Be Carnage, was dumb fun, but it actually mattered, and it actually had a great story, and it had good morals. Is that the right word? I don't think it is, but I think you get what I'm putting down. Probably not. But Thor Ragnarok, that's going at S tier. I loved Thor Ragnarok. I loved how it contributed to not only the entire MCU as a whole, but to the entire character as Thor as a whole. It made Thor a more likable and more interesting character. The Incredible Hulk. Oh, I completely forgot about this. Oh, God. Hulk. With Edward Norton. Hulk hasn't really gotten the best outing, has he, in his solo movies, that is. Let's just say this, I enjoyed the Eric Bana one more than this. This was very boring. Now, here's the thing, I didn't mind Edward Norton as Bruce Banner. Even though he doesn't look or act like Bruce Banner, Mark Ruffalo does a better job at portraying Bruce Banner. I just tolerated him in this. Hulk didn't feel like... It felt like a Godzilla 2014 thing. They didn't show enough of Hulk. They didn't show Hulk right. And I really didn't understand what this movie was going for, really. It did contribute to the MCU. Honestly, that's really all I have to say about it. It's just bland. That's it. It's just bland. I'm going to put it at C. It's just bland. It didn't have anything going for it. It didn't really do much for the character of Hulk. He didn't really grow in this. Literally, he just jumps out of a plane, and I think that's the last time we see Edward Norton before the movie ends. Now, the Soho, or the Harlem fight scene, I think it was Harlem that they fought in, Abomination versus Hulk, that was cool. But other than that, it just felt like exposition most of the whole movie, or... You know what, I don't think I remember this movie well. But, the parts that I do remember, I didn't really care for. I didn't really care for Betty Brant either. Or not Betty Brant, what's her name? Oh my god, I already forgot her name. Why did I forget her name one day? It's not Betty Brant. I don't know why I think that. I don't know. But I can't think of her name. She's so forgettable. I don't even remember her name. But, yeah, that's what I thought about that. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Oh my god, we're going through all, like, the bad ones. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. How do I put this lightly? What? That's what this is. It's just, what? What just happened? The season finale was a complete letdown. The villain felt like they were trying, like, Carly Morgenthau, she felt like she was trying to be a tortured character. But it felt rushed. It felt forced. It felt like you need to be sorry for this character. But the thing was, I didn't feel much when she died, when she got shot by Sharon. I thought I was actually starting to like the character, but then she started losing me in the last 2 episodes. There was like this thing about her trying to be a teacher, and like she was so obviously being a terrorist, but somehow Sam and Bucky thought she was just being her. I really don't know. The government actually was portrayed as the bad guys and as an antagonistic figure in this. I felt like Sam and Bucky were mostly antagonists in this. The only thing that I loved in this show was what they did with U.S. Agent. This was perfect, what they did with U.S. Agent. He had the best arc ever. He, like, hit rock bottom, and then that rock bottom was just so amazing to see from him, like, slicing that guy in half, beating him to pieces was amazing to see. It was a great season finale. But the thing was, you could understand his pain, because he saw his best friend from probably elementary school die right in front of his eyes. And he did take it a little too far, but you could understand why he took it really far. But other than that, I didn't like the ending speech that Sam did with the season finale. That was terrible. Like, you gotta do better. Like, what? There's literally 50% of all living creatures on the entire Earth disappeared and then reappeared in other people's homes. That's gonna take some time, buddy. You can't just do better, okay? Like, my God, imagine being in the government's shoes, seriously. But other than that, it was just, it wasn't really funny. It usually has, like, that MCU charm, but it didn't. Honestly, I stopped watching most of it. I couldn't really see most of it. I had to watch it, but, yeah, when I first saw the first episode, I thought I was going to turn it off. It felt very boring. I did like the little bits, what they did with Bucky's character. I did like the little bits of him getting closure and all that, but I did also like the little bits of Sam with his family. That I liked that dynamic as well. But other than that, I didn't really like their dynamic together either. I would have preferred they all got their own separate show. I felt like Sam was on his own thing and Bucky was on his own thing during the whole show. But other than that, I'd say it's just B. It's just okay. I was disappointed with the season finale. Just to sum it up, I was disappointed with the season finale. I would have preferred they both got their own separate show. I think that would have went way better, because they felt like they were having their own little story arcs at the same time. And when they were together, they were still dealing with their own problems. But, yeah. The Defenders. We were waiting for this at the time. This was something that was building up to, and we were starting to get even happy, even if we didn't care for Luke Cage, or if we didn't care for Jessica Jones, or if we didn't care. We all cared for Daredevil. Let's just say that. We all wanted to see Daredevil interact with all these people. But it had the same problem with The Legends of Tomorrow, that show. I don't know if you've ever seen that show. It didn't really show the together dynamic. They should have did what they did in the Avengers, where they all had to, like, actually act as a team. I couldn't tell you when they actually acted as a team in this. I actually didn't see the whole thing, so I probably should put haven't watched, to be honest. So you should, just to say that you shouldn't, like, you should take my opinions with a grain of salt, if I put it in haven't watched, because I've only seen, like, the first 3 episodes of Defenders of Season 1. I don't even know if it got a second season. I don't know. But, yeah, I probably shouldn't make an opinion on that. But, One-Shot Consultant. Oh, yeah, this is, this basically, showed us, so, this is hard to say. This entire one-shot basically retcons the entire Incredible Hulk story and basically makes it completely useless to the story, because it just shows us the post-credit scene and how it got to that post-credit scene in 2 minutes. So basically, you don't need to watch the Incredible Hulk, you can just watch this one shot. It talks about how they consulted Tony into talking to General Ross so that he could get permission to talk to Bruce Banner, and then, or find Bruce Banner, that is, so they could start keeping tabs on him a little bit. This was okay. I don't really think I should. It's hard to rank a 2-minute short. I'd say it's A, because it can let's say this. I should rank one-shots by saying, do they contribute to the MCU? Do they hint at some sort of overarching story? Because you're not expecting a story from a 2-minute short. And was it funny? Because most of these one-shots were supposed to be funny. So I found it kind of funny. I liked Coulson and Sitwell's talk, and I don't know. There wasn't much that happened in this. It was just 2 minutes. I shouldn't be ranking it. Why is that in here? I don't know. Hold on. Whoa. Okay. The Avengers. I felt like I should have ended with this one. I shouldn't be ending with, what is that? Thor's hammer one shot. Wow. The Avengers. It held up to the hype. It did. It kept my it met my expectations for this. I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it a year later on digital. But I could understand why this had a lot of hype. It was after this movie that I started getting into Marvel and all that stuff. Because I was younger. I think I was, I was 7. I was 7 when that came out. And, wait, no, not when it came out. When I watched it, I was 7. But, I really liked what they did with each character. They each had their own story, even though I felt like that's the problem that I had with the Defenders, that they had their own thing going for them. But in this, it made sense, because they weren't really a team yet. They had just met. They didn't really trust each other. They didn't know what was even going on with that other person. But you could understand why they decided to become a team at the end. Because they needed to. They know that they needed to shut the hell up and deal with each other, because the end of the world was upon them. And I really liked their growth. I really liked Tony and Captain America's growth together, because they purely hated each other as soon as they met each other. I liked the over-snappy dialogue by Joss Whedon. I loved that. You could see a lot of Cabin in the Woods comedy in this too, because he had power over that movie as well. I really liked the team dynamic in this. Like I was saying, they finally came together. Blah blah blah. I liked what they did with Hawkeye and Black Widow. It made me actually care about both of them. In the second Iron Man movie, I didn't care about Black Widow, even though she was insanely cool. But I didn't really care for Hawkeye either in the Thor movie. But they had a nice dynamic, and I really liked what they did with those two characters. Loki in this movie solidified his, let's say, his dominance over pop culture. People will freak out if they see Tom Hiddleston in, Comic-Con or something. He gets probably the biggest crowd of any actor in the Marvel Universe. He's definitely a fan favorite. I think this movie was the reason why Loki became a fan favorite. I really loved the battle in New York. That was the most craziest battle. Top 5 most awesome battles in any movie ever. The Chitauri, oh my god. They got everything right, and I don't know what else to say. I can't put this into words how much I enjoyed this movie. It didn't have any problems. Let's just say that. It didn't have any problems. It was perfect with what it was, and it didn't exceed expectations, but it didn't lower expectations. It met them, which is fine. You don't need to exceed expectations, but it is good to exceed expectations. I'm trying to think of other good. I'm not making sense, am I? This movie was great. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't groundbreaking, but it was great. It was. I'm gonna say amazing, aren't I? Wow. It was great. Let's just say that. It was great. That's it. It was great. So let's put it at an A tier. We'll say that. A tier. Definitely not S tier. It didn't, like, deserve an Oscar or anything. It didn't. All the actors just played their characters. And we didn't really need anything dramatic in this either, because it was just about superheroes coming together. That's really all it was. So we didn't really need any Oscar-worthy acting in this. So, The Amazing Spider-Man. Ooh, I was not expecting that. Here, let me talk about the two, because I see them right next to each other. Let me just talk about the two of them right now. I like the first one. I preferred the first one over Spider-Man 3, but Spider-Man 2 is still my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time. And that's saying something, because I did see Spider-Man No Way Home 3 times. But I did prefer this one over The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, and Spider-Man Homecoming. I did prefer those three over this movie. But I did like Far From Home a little bit better than this one. Andrew Garfield. I had my doubts when I heard that the guy from The Social Network was going to be playing Spider-Man. But he really did make a great Spider-Man. A lot of people don't like him, and Spider-Man No Way Home just made it seem like he was even a better choice at the time. Like, you could understand what this character was really going through. Toby just felt like he's crying a little bit. He's, like, crying in that shot, he's crying in that shot, he's crying in this shot, he's looking sinister in that shot, he's, like, looking like that in that shot. He's looking like he's about to regurgitate out of his butt in that shot, the train scene. Like, he looks like he's about to, like, have diarrhea all over the place, like, but I felt like Andrew Garfield brought the acting aspect towards Spider-Man. Like, he felt more Spider-Man. Let's say that. He felt more Spider-Man than Tobey did. But the only thing that I didn't like about Andrew Garfield, he didn't feel very Peter Parker to me. Tobey did better as a Peter Parker than he did as Spider-Man. Tobey did better with the Peter Parker aspect of being more awkward. In The Amazing Spider-Man 1, he felt like during his school time, he felt like a cool kid. Like, he rode a skateboard all over the place. But people seemed to hate him like a dork. He didn't act like a dork. You understood why Flash bullied him in the first movie, but you didn't understand why Flash bullied him in the reboot first movie. That was really the only problem I had with this. I loved what they did with Gwen Stacy in this. Miles better than MJ Watson. Mary Jane Watson, let's say that. Because I liked Michelle Jones Watson in the Homecoming trilogy better than Mary Jane. Gwen didn't feel like... She didn't feel like that person that needed to be rescued. Like, she didn't feel like just a plot device, just like, boop, you're like, boop, you're just gonna be sitting on the top of the Brooklyn Bridge right there, and you're gonna be kidnapped by Green Goblin, and then blah, 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 you have to be saved. Whatever. She actually did a bunch. She set the lizard on fire with a blowtorch. Would Mary Jane Watson do that, guys? No. She would not. No. Granted, it didn't do much, but that could have done something if it was Green Goblin. I mean, seriously. It made sense with the lizard, but speaking of the lizard, I liked the lizard in this. I liked their relationship with Peter Parker. I liked Kirk Connors, and when Peter Parker was on screen, I liked their dynamic. I think Peter felt like he was like a father figure for a while, like with the Norman Osborn and Peter Parker situation. I liked how Kirk Connors created basically he didn't create it. What am I saying? Blah 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 blah. I liked what his character was going through. I actually cared about his character. I felt obligated, or I didn't feel obligated. I can't think of the word. Oh my god, I'm blanking. I liked the perception of how he transformed into the lizard. It was more of a metaphor than it was just like, oh, I gotta turn into the lizard to kill Spider-Man. No. He didn't want to kill Spider-Man. He just wanted to get his goal done. That's it. He didn't really have the goal of killing Spider-Man. He was just... Spider-Man showed up. He needed to get him out of his way. Obviously, at the end, it looked like he wanted to stone cold kill him. But when he realized, when he became Kurt again... like I was saying, the metaphor. I like the metaphor of taking the lizard and being Kirk Connors. Would you rather, if you had no arm for your entire life, would you A, become a blood-sucking monster, a giant lizard creature, possibly kill a bunch of police officers, and one of your bestest young friends in the entire world, or your best friend's son, that is, and regain your arm back, or stay weak and also still have your family. It was a very, very good metaphor, that is, yeah. So I'll put it at B tier. It was okay. It wasn't groundbreaking. It didn't do anything. It was just a Spider-Man movie. That's what it was. It was just a Spider-Man movie. But that goes for Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, that is. It's stone cold garbage. Honestly, the only thing that I really liked in this was Peter and Gwen together on screen, her chemistry, and I liked Peter and Harry's chemistry, even though it felt very rushed, like we didn't know who the heck Harry was in this. I didn't like what they did with Harry's character by the end of this movie. Hint. I did not like what they did with Electro in this either. He felt very Edward Nygma in this. He felt very, very, very Edward Nygma. Had the weird haircut, glasses, and was obsessed with Spider-Man. It, like the same thing that I had the problem with Thor, like the first Thor movie. It just felt like a filler movie. It just felt like it needed to lead up to these other projects that they were so obviously hinting at. It was insane. They were hinting at a Sinister Six movie. They were hinting at all these other characters. They were hinting at, they were hinting at, like, Black Cat. They were hinting at... There were so many villains in this movie, I couldn't even speak about... Actually, I can't speak about them. Green Goblin was in it. 2 Green Goblins were in this. 2! Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn. Same movie. Granted, Norman Osborn's Green Goblin didn't do much. He just laid in the bed and died. Electro was in this. Black Cat was in this. And yeah, she actually sabotaged a lot of the stuff that happened in Oscorp. And she actually did stuff, But she wasn't, Black Cat, though. But it was Felicia Hardy. The Oscorp CEO. Not the CEO. Harry was the CEO. The other guy that kicked Harry out of his own company. He was basically a villain. The guy at Ravencroft, he was a villain. Did I already say Electro? I think I said Electro. Rhino. Oh my god, I cannot say it enough. I hated Paul Giamatti's Rhino. No. No. F. It's an F. F. It's the only Spider-Man movie to get a rotten rating. Just sink that in. Sink it in. It wasn't even a dumb fun. It was just dumb. I hated. I only liked 2 things in this movie. Even the action was bland. Team Thor and Team Darryl. S tier. I loved these one-shots. These were amazing. The part 2 and part 1. I didn't really like Team Darryl as much, but I did like... actually, no, I'm going to put it as tier. I liked all 3 of these. Team Darryl was with Grandmaster, and Team Thor was, like, during the Civil War, and I think Team Darryl was just a spin-off of a spin-off. Cool. But I loved Team Darryl. Team Darryl is my favorite. Like, oh, Mrs. Richardson. I have to tell you something. I may have melted David. Here we go. First Spider-Man movie. Obviously, this is going to be A. Now, let me tell you, I'm only going to talk about the bad things from now on, because this is, like, it's already 45 minutes in. Come on. The bad things of this movie, what they did, I liked the direction it went in. The only thing I didn't like was, Mary Jane's character. That was one of the things I didn't like. Like, I literally felt like they just put a Post-it note on her face and said, "Kidnap me!" Like, it's... Like, all of her dialogue was literally just... Like, her personality is just, I'm nice, tragic life, happy. But, I did like... I wish they showed more about her, like, abusive father from, like, the comics. They did a little bit, but not as much. I wish they showed more of that. I wish they showed the... Well, they did kind of hint at why she's so cheerful all the time because of her abusive father. I wish they showed more Peter Parker with MJ. Not just with MJ, but in general. I felt like he was just either just standing around or crying or making people feel sorry about him, you know? Or talking to MJ. But I felt like Peter Parker should have been doing more Peter Parker-ness. Like in school, we should have seen more about why he's... I mean, we did, but we cut away from school, like, after, like, the first 2 scenes. I mean, come on. He graduated, like, the first half an hour of the movie already. I really like seeing bullied characters. It makes me cry. And I wish that we saw more about why he would want to be Spider-Man more. I felt like he just did it because he was jealous and he wanted a car. That's basically what this is hinting at. That's all he became Spider-Man. That was his motive. Granted, Uncle Ben dying was a bigger motive, but he was already starting to become Spider-Man at that point. So I didn't feel like he really had the need to look out for the little guy. That dynamic, which is another thing I liked about Amazing Spider-Man. That was why, a number one reason why he became Spider-Man. He wanted to look out for the little guy, you know? Be the person that... Or help the people that he once was, you know? And we got that in Amazing Spider-Man 2 as well. But, yeah. Other than that, this was a groundbreaking movie. I loved Willem Dafoe in this. Oh my god. Why isn't he the Joker? Is beyond me. The only thing I hate about Green Goblin was that stupid costume. Oh my god. I was so glad, but happy in No Way Home to see that costume again. But I'm so glad they smashed it to pieces. Oh my god, I was so happy about that. But, Harry was just okay. I mean, it was just another James Franco, but, Spider-Man No Way Home. Oh my god, yes. S tier. It's S tier. Why even talk about it? It's S tier. It's better than all of these. S tier, S tier, S tier. Actually, let me, like, move these around so I know which ones I like better. But, yeah, this is S tier. Very much S tier. It explained so much about what the director John Watts was doing with the Homecoming trilogy. This was the first time since the first Spider-Man movie where I cried at one of the deaths of a beloved Spider-Man character that he was part of. The thing is, I cried more in this than the first Spider-Man movie when Uncle Ben died because we knew Aunt May way longer, and we got to know her character, and we got to care about that character. I'm not saying I didn't care about Uncle Ben, but I'm just saying I wish I got to know Uncle Ben more so the emotional value would hit me harder. That's why this scene hit me so much harder. The freaking apartment scene, oh my god. Willem Dafoe killed it. Tom Holland. Freaking the best acting I have ever seen from any of his movies. Oh my god, you could see the pain in this character, in Peter Parker, as a whole, during this whole movie. And he didn't even have to speak. It was just grunts, faces, and crying. It was amazing. I liked what they did with oh my gosh, the dynamic between the three characters. They didn't have to bring back all of the whole class again. It was just, and they made, that's another problem that I had with Far From Home. They didn't really need the whole class. They didn't need to, it was perfect with just Michelle, or MJ. They only called her Michelle in the first one. MJ, Ned, and Peter. They were all friends. They didn't need the whole class to show that. I liked their dynamic together. They had great chemistry. I cried so hard at the ending scene when they did the secret handshake. Oh my god. It felt so sad to know. He essentially killed himself, if you think about it. They don't remember him at all, which isn't the one problem that I had with it. It was the only problem that I had with that. I like what they did with Doc Ock. Doc Ock was... it was so rewarding, even though we've already seen his redemption, basically saw it again. It was still so rewarding to see him, say, "Oh, it's so silent." It felt so sad to see that he finally was free for a second time. Green Goblin again was phenomenal. Willem Dafoe was amazing. His laugh, as God. Aunt May's death, like I said, insane. Toby and Andrew being in this was insane. I loved what they did with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man in this. It told us, and this was one of those instances where I didn't care if it showed us. I'm so glad it didn't show us, and it showed us him talking about what happened to him after Gwen's death. If they would have showed it, it wouldn't have been as powerful as Andrew Garfield's acting in that moment. I got bitter. I loved the writing in this. It was so good. How they opened up to Peter 1, our Peter, 616 Peter, or, I think it's 616. Now that I think about it, I thought that Toby's Peter Parker was 616, and that this Peter Parker that we know from the MCU was 19999. I'm confused now. I know, I don't know the other two, I'm getting off topic. Whatever. This is, no. Spider-Man Far From Home, or No Way Home. Perfect movie. No problems other than, other than the whole forgetting about Peter thing. That didn't really make sense to me. That felt like just weird writing. I don't know. I did like how it felt like at the end it was an origin story. Like this whole trilogy, it made sense why Homecoming wasn't really an origin story, because all of these were just leading up to him becoming Spider-Man, and finally branching off and maturing and becoming the Spider-Man we all know and love. He makes his own stuff, doesn't have to rely on anybody. He can be his own self, and I really like the dynamic this movie made with that. Spider-Man Homecoming, I really just talked about these. Where did it go? I just saw it. There it is. It's B. It was okay. Trying to make this quick. It's almost an hour. I liked Adrian Toomes' Vulture. It was so good to see him on screen. Ever since it was before this movie, I heard that was what Spider-Man 4 was going to be. It was going to be Vulture. I was so glad to finally see Vulture on screen, because I've been wanting it forever. I really liked what Tom Holland did with Spider-Man. He felt like a Peter Parker, and he felt like a Spider-Man, which is, he combined what Tobey and Andrew both got right with their characters and just combined them into one, making one of the best Spider-Man characters there is. Even though he did not look dorky. He did look dorky, let's just say that. But you could feel his dorkiness more than how much he looked dorky. But other than that, it was just okay. I really liked the relationship that Tony and Peter got together, Blossom. I didn't really care for Liz. I think it was Liz, right? Yeah, Liz. I liked what they did in No Way Home with MJ and Peter instead of what they did in this movie. Other than that, I have not much to say. Far From Home, I really already talked about this a bunch. I'm just going to put it B tier. I didn't like it as much as I liked Homecoming, but I liked it more than... Actually, I think this is one of my least favorite, other than Amazing Spider-Man 2. But I really did like what Jake Gyllenhaal did with Mysterio. I did like that. I didn't really feel like Nick Fury or Maria Hill really needed to be in this movie. They really just felt like they were there, even though they did kind of contribute to the story, but they did by the post-credit scene, don't get me wrong, but other than that, it was Far From Home. Spider-Man 3, oh my god, I was planning on making an entire video based on this, so I think I'm just going to put it at a C tier. For now, because there's a lot of these movies that I want to make reviews off of just by themselves, because I could sit here and talk about them for hours. Spider-Man 2, I already said this is my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time. I'm putting it in front of No Way Home. Hold on, let me organize this a little bit. So this is my S tier so far. This is like the halfway point right here. For S tier so far, we have Spider-Man 2 at number 1. Number 2, Spider-Man No Way Home, then Thor Ragnarok, then WandaVision, then Team Darryl, then Team Thor. A tier is Spider-Man, What If, Avengers, The Consultant, which, you know what, I think I'll just, get rid of this. Can I just get rid of this one? I don't know. B is Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, Thor 1, Falcon and Winter Soldier. You know what, I'm going to put Falcon and Winter Soldier at C. I did not like Falcon and Winter Soldier. And so basically, when it gets lower, I'm just going to say that the higher... in the lower categories it is, if it's first in C, that means I hate it the most in that C category. And I hated Thor more than Venom. Okay. I think this is good. This is a good lineup so far. I like this. Definitely putting... Yeah, that seems right. Yeah. Yeah, that seems right. Yep, okay. What's next? Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. This one's a weird one for me to talk about. I loved what they did with Shang-Chi's character. I loved what they did with the family dynamic. I really felt like... Oh my god, Wenwu Mandarin was one of the best top 4 villains in the MCU for me. He's on par with Thanos for me in this. I loved what they did with Wenwu in this. I loved the chemistry that Awkwafina and Simu Liu had in this. I loved the Katie and Shang-Chi scenes. The martial art aspect of this. Top notch. Great. What else? I didn't have a problem with this movie. Now that I think about it, I really liked. Soundtrack was amazing. The like the little string. That song. I don't know. I'm sounding stupid now. Just take my word for it. You need to see this movie. There's a lot of good aspects with drama in this that the MCU never really achieved much of. It wasn't no Avengers Infinity War. It wasn't no Avengers Endgame. But it was definitely better than most of Phase 1 entirely of the MCU. I would prefer this over some of the Phase 4 stuff as well, which I think this is technically Phase 4, so... this was definitely better than Eternals. I was kind of mad after seeing this than going to see Eternals. It's depressing a little bit. But yeah, Shang-Chi. It was a great movie. Loved it. The Runaways, I haven't seen this. I stopped watching the Netflix shows. I plan on seeing a little bit of it, but I didn't see The Punisher either. I have not seen The Punisher either. But I have heard it's stupid. It's not really much. Oh, here we go. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm just going to put all the ones I haven't seen in here. I haven't seen any of the Netflix stuff. None of it. Anything else? No, I haven't seen. I only saw season 1 of Iron Fist, so I think I'll just put both of them in there. Oh, wait, that's Iron Man. No, I've seen Iron Man. I'm not that stupid. I haven't seen Cloak and Dagger either. which I've heard that's still okay. I didn't see Agent Carter either. Slingshot, I don't even know what that is. Okay. I didn't see Inhumans either, because I heard that was terrible. But I did recognize Black Bolt in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I knew his face. Morbius! Ooh, baby! Ooh, baby! We are going into uncharted waters here, boys. Oh, man! Ooh! Oh, ouchie. Oh, this is... oof. No. This movie's stupid. It did nothing with the character of Michael Morbius. It had nothing... there was no representation in the comics other than just using the characters that were used in the comics. Like Michael Morbius, Milo, I honestly forget his name already. I just remember his name is Milo. Tyrese Gibson was in this. This movie, it's Morbin time. It's Morbius. This, like, you know the term B-movie? The word Morbius now, if you call a movie a Morbius, you know it's bad. This is worse than Venom. Like, I swear, if Sony makes another Spider-Man anti-hero movie, it's gonna be worse. It just keeps getting worse. They made Venom. Venom Up the Big Carnage was great, but it was a sequel to a movie that I tolerated. But if they're gonna start a series again, like they did with Venom, it's just gonna be terrible. Like, if they do a Kraven the Hunter movie, I'm absolutely positive it will be terrible. You guys don't realize we've had Venom, we've had Morbius. We don't want Kraven the Hunter. They're gonna ruin it for us. They're gonna ruin it. They're gonna gut it with a machete. And then Ron Swanson's gonna giggle, but Morbius, I've already said enough, haven't I? I don't even want to bring up the memories that this movie had. It's one of the worst Marvel movies I've ever seen, and I've seen Howard the Duck. Thank you, Moon Knight. Oh my god, Oscar Isaac saved my life. Moon Knight. This is my favorite Disney Plus show, hands down. WandaVision may be the best, but personally, Moon Knight, favorite. All-time favorite out of all of the Disney Plus shows. Loki's definitely number 2, but Moon Knight, I loved. Oh my god, every episode was just... I loved it. I didn't want to look away, except for episode 3. Episode 3 was kind of filler and boring. But episode 5, beautiful cinematography, beautiful acting by Oscar Isaac. He was the perfect choice to play Mark Spector, Jake Lockley, and Stephen Grant. Moon Knight was one of my favorite superheroes before this came out, and now he's one of my all-time favorites. I'm surprised that this wasn't made sooner. It had you asking so many questions. I felt the same feeling I felt when I first watched Stranger Things. I felt like I needed to know what this character was. I needed to know what the heck was going on. And I needed to know what happened to this guy. What happened to this person. In Stranger Things, it wasn't a guy. It was obviously 11. But every character in this had some depressing story. And I say it like I hated it. But it didn't feel like that classic, oh, your dad died. Or... oh, you were orphaned. No, this guy had trauma from his mother beating him up. So much trauma where he developed split personality disorder. That's insane. What show or movie has ever done that? Really? Me, Myself, and Irene? But no mother beat Jim Carrey up. He just had split personality disorder because someone... had VagiClean in the... okay, I'm getting off topic, but... Moon Knight. S tier. It's S tier. It's pure amazement. It really is. I can't even put into words how much I love this show. It didn't contribute much to the MCU, which is the only thing I really didn't like about this, but It didn't need to. It was Moon Knight. It stands alone on its own. It was amazing. He was, like, Moon Knight's one of the coolest characters, too. He looks cool. I mean, look at the poster. That's an awesome poster. I really like the relationship with Steven and Mark, which is crazy to say because they're literally played by the same person. Yeah. Loki. Woo, baby. Loki. Definitely top 2. Moon Knight and Loki are my 2 favorite. Moon Knight and Loki are my 2 favorite Disney Plus shows. Number 3 is probably Hawkeye, but Loki. Oh man, this is the only Disney Plus show that has been confirmed to get a second season. I think Moon Knight hinted at it getting a second season, but literally the post-credit scene of Loki season episode 6 was saying Loki will return in season 2. WandaVision I think is getting a second season, but it's like a spin-off. It's like going to be a separate whole thing. It's called Agatha House of Harkness. But Loki, it did so much so right. We understand why Loki is the way he is. We understand so much about, like, it's just, I can't put it into words. I liked Loki. It was definitely fan service because this wouldn't have happened unless anybody, at least, if people didn't like Loki, this wouldn't have happened. It felt very fan servicey. I did like the crime aspect in the first 2 episodes. It felt very NCIS, and because you're trying to figure out who was killing all these TVA agents. What they did with the TVA, I freaking loved it. It was so comic accurate. I felt like I was seeing a comic book page put into my face when they first showed off the TVA. Because in the comics, it's just a bunch of desks going out into infinity. In the show, it's a bunch of office buildings going out into infinity. Like a bunch of insanely ancient, if people from Mesopotamia had all the supplies to build an office building back then, then that's how they built it. It was really cool to see. Very, very teary show. It had a lot of dramatic moments in it. It did a lot right with the character of Loki. I like what they did with Sylvie. Kang. Kang was in this. Oh my god, I was not expecting that. They were hinting at him in the 5th episode, but it went over my head until I saw a new Rockstar's breakdown. I didn't think they were actually going to show him. It was actually Jonathan Majors. It was actually Kang. He was wearing, oh my god, it was so good to see Kang in this. It made me love the show even more. There was a heart that this show had that no other Disney Plus show could have had. It made me like Loki even more, and I didn't know that was possible. That was Loki. It was a good show. Item 47, that was a weird one. That was a weird one-shot. I'm gonna put it at a C tier. Mostly because it was just 2 couples who found a Chitauri gun and then went on a bank robbery rampage. Actually, let me put all the one-shots in C, because we don't really need to talk about them, really. So let's just put most of them in haven't watched. I've watched them, but I just don't think they really need to be ranked at all. Iron Man 3. Better than 2. Let me say that. It's better than Iron Man 2. I really liked what they did with Harley in this. Harley and Iron Man's character conversating, their chemistry together was amazing. I liked when they were both on screen together. I liked the dynamic between Pepper and Tony in this. It felt very, you could see why they liked each other more than in the first 2. Aldrich Killian was probably my favorite villain out of all these. I didn't really care for Obadiah Stane. A lot of people are going to cancel me because I said that. I enjoyed Iron Man 3. A lot of people didn't really care for it. It's definitely not as good as the first Iron Man, but it is better than the second one. I really liked the aspect of what if Tony really lost everything? And then by the end, he realized that he didn't need everything. He didn't need all these suits. He just blew them up, you know? And I really liked that. I really liked the beaten down aspect that this movie had. It didn't really feel like it. Like, he really hit a metaphorical rock bottom. Like, he didn't have any of his money. He only had like one broken suit. And it really made him realize, you know, he really didn't need everything. But I'll put it at B. It was definitely better than... I think this is still a good lineup. Yeah. Hawkeye. Ooh. I kind of just want to... I keep trying to breeze through these, but I really can't because I need to talk about them. Hawkeye. It was a good show. This was one of those Disney Plus shows where it didn't feel like it had a filler episode. Usually those Disney Plus shows have that one filler episode. This one didn't. The cinematography in this, like the car chase scene, pure great. Like when it just spins around like a couple of times. I loved that. I loved the beaten up aspect because it really talked about the aspect of how Hawkeye really isn't a superhero. He's just a guy who is really great at archery and building like these insanely crazy arrows. And every time he went in a fight, he either got out having to put like 6 ice packs all over his face or his body, and he was either getting like shot or fell off of a building or landed in the Rockefeller tree and then survived literally a fall inside of a tree that has sharp... Yeah, it probably was a hard fall from that, though. But, yeah, it went by the comic that... I think it was the only Hawkeye comic that actually got good reception. You would have thought that this would be a stupid show, but it's not. It really wasn't. It really had a charm that only this show could have had. I really liked the Kate Bishop and Clint Barton thing here. I liked what they did with Kate Bishop's character. I like what Haley Steinfeld did with Kate Bishop. I really liked the crime aesthetic, like with Loki, but this one felt more crime than it was. I liked what it led up to. It led up to Kingpin. It led up to Kate basically becoming Hawkeye and letting Clint step down, you know. Other than that, it was just a show. It didn't really do much, but it was just a harmless little show. Put it at probably top B tier, or technically bottom B tier, but no, top B tier. We'll put it top B tier. I'll say that C and below. If it's top C, that means it's bad. If it's top B, it's closer to A. I'll just say that. But what's next? Guardians of the Galaxy. Ooh. This one, groundbreaking. It definitely was. There was a reason why it became a not a cult classic. That would have meant it would be bad, but no. There's a reason why it took the world by surprise and it became one of the most popular things for the next 3 years, till Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 came out. It stayed popular for all that time because it still gained hype even if the sequel didn't come out for 3 years, right? Yeah, this came out 2014. 3 years. So, I really liked the villain in this, Ronan the Accuser. He just felt like... Actually, no. Now that I think about it, I did not like Ronan. He was just a generic villain. All he wanted to do... Literally, you could sum Ronan up in 3 words. I want death. Like, the first time we see Ronan, he's executing a Nova Corps officer. And then after... Literally, every time he's on screen, he's either talking about killing someone, or metaphorically saying he's going to kill someone. Or talking about him once killing somebody. It's all about killing with him. I don't get it. They actually really... Thanos really was in this. This was like the first movie he actually was really in. The comedy in this and the soundtrack were phenomenal. I really liked what James Gunn did with this. I think this was one of his first movies that actually was high budget. He did that movie Super or something. I think it was just Super. I don't remember. You cared about each character in this movie, even if it was just a generic villain. You cared about the stupid Nova Corps officer, John C. Reilly. You cared about him, and he was literally just a Nova Corps officer. Each character had their own thing going for them, and I think that's a reason why people like this movie. Not only because of the comedy, but not only because of the character development, but the team aspect. I feel like Avengers could have been like this. Avengers Age of Ultron, it could have been like this. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Guardians of the Galaxy, it was a good movie. I'll put it at A tier. It wasn't S tier for me. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people hated it. Actually, no. A few people hated it. I shouldn't say that, yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is basically the exact same as the first movie. It's more of a family aspect than the first movie. It was definitely not as good as the first one, obviously. I like what they did with Yondu's character in this, though. I like what they did with Nebula and Gamora in this. Other than that, it was literally just the Guardians of the Galaxy back again, fighting. Literally, Rocket even says, "So are we saving the galaxy again?" It felt like a parody, but at times it did. Let me just get through the small ones. All Hail the King, that was a one shot. It was probably the most known one shot. It was okay. It was with it basically set up that the Mandarin was going to be an actual villain at some point. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I haven't seen all the seasons, so I'm just going to put them all in, haven't watched. I've only seen up to season 3. The last season I saw, Ghost Rider was in it, so I think that was season 3. It was either 2 or 3. When he made a sling ring, that was the last time I think I saw the show. Anything else in here that I don't really care about? Captain Marvel. Let's talk about that. Captain Marvel. It was Captain Marvel. Definitely my least favorite out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think it was worse than Thor: The Dark World, to be honest. I think it just had to go with Captain Marvel's character. A lot of people blame it on Brie Larson. I don't think it was. She may have played Captain Marvel, but this is really what Captain Marvel is like in the comics. She was a wise, smart aleck that really didn't care about the stuff around her. And I think that's one of the problems this movie had. They tried to make her seem like she cared about the Skrulls and her Monica and Maria, but before that she was such a nonchalant. I can't put it into words. I didn't like her character. I think that ruined the movie. Everything else could have been great if it wasn't for how they made Captain Marvel as a character. They advertised she was the best and she was awesome and she was cared about everyone, she's her hero, blah blah blah. But when we see her, she doesn't look like she cared at all. She doesn't look like she really was aware of her surroundings, which she wasn't. She really wasn't. Yeah, I feel like that was the only problem that this movie had, and that was such an important problem that it made the movie just downfall into a bottomless pit of despair. Other than that, if Captain Marvel wasn't in this and it was just about everyone else, I would have liked it. They could have even called it Captain Marvel. They could have put her on the poster, and I still would have liked it. But yeah, I didn't really care for that. Daredevil, I haven't seen all of the episodes, so I will put it in haven't watched. I'm gonna save Iron Man for last. Let's put that at last. Iron Man 2. Actually, let's talk about Doctor Strange, the 2 Doctor Strange movies. I preferred Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness over the first one. Even though it was significantly better, I just had so much fun with this movie. But, let's first talk about Doctor Strange. It was an origin story, alright. Yeah. You really felt for him, though. You really felt for this character. And I think Benedict Cumberbatch he was the perfect casting for this. Caecilius, perfect villain, even though he is a perfect villain. Let's just say that. He wasn't a perfect fit for the villain. He was just a great villain. He was basically the same thing Ronan was. He was good at being a bad guy, but he didn't really have the things that Thanos had, or when Wu Mandarin had, or Joker had, even though that's DC, but it was definitely visually amazing. I adored the visual effects this movie had going for it. I loved every single second they went into the mirror. Every time they went into the mirror, every time they went into the mirror dimension. It's a mouthful. Every time they went into the mirror dimension, I got goosebumps. Because after the first opening, or after the opening, showing the Ancient One when she went in the mirror dimension, it just felt like something crazy was about to happen every time they went in the mirror dimension. From him seeing the multiverse, to Dormammu, I've come to bargain, to, just the aspect of what would you do if you lost the only thing that really made you you. And he really went on a journey of self-discovery and realized he didn't need his hands. He didn't need to be a surgeon to do good, So I think I'm going to put it at A tier. It was good. It was definitely a Doctor Strange movie, that's for sure. Actually, why don't we save the worst for last? Let's put Eternals all the way down there, yeah. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I think this is the most recent movie that's on here. Yeah. Critics hated this. Critics rated this, I think, as 74% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it is like a 6 or a 5 point out of something on IMDb. But I adored this movie. I loved what Sam Raimi did with this, even though... First, let me say the problems that I had with this. The pacing. The pacing was way too quick, and I knew why, because of reshoots and having to tone it down a little bit. It was a little bit graphic. There was a deleted scene where Mordo was decapitated. 616 Mordo was decapitated by Wanda, and that's why he wasn't in the movie, and they would show his head later, and they had to tone it down a little bit. They had to get rid of some scenes, which made the pacing seem very, very, very quick. I don't think it held on to a shot for more than 2 seconds, or more than 5 seconds, let's say that. I liked the dumb fun. Like I said, I loved the dumb fun that this movie had. It felt like Venom Let There Be Carnage to me. It felt like that. It felt like it was just everything. It was everything happening all at once. Everything everywhere all at once. It wasn't that movie, because that movie's better than Doctor Strange 2. Doctor Strange Mom. I'm just going to call it Mom from now on, because it is Multiverse of Madness. Wanda was easily the best part of this movie. I'm surprised this wasn't called Wanda in the Multiverse of Madness, because she was causing the madness. She was causing not only the multiverse, but also the madness. This was definitely Wanda's movie. She supposedly died at the end. I think she is dead, but that felt like such a rushed death for such a beloved character, and I don't know, I felt like they could have did it a little bit better. But America Chavez in this movie, I loved America Chavez. I loved what they did with her character. Yeah, let's put this at B tier. Put it at the back of the B tier. Put it probably back here. Yeah. Man and the Wasp. I'm trying not to talk about these much, but I want you to know my genuine opinion of it. Okay, Black Widow. That's another one. C tier. Definitely C tier for me. Yeah, it's just C tier. I didn't really care for Black Widow at all. I'm trying to remember what the problems this movie had. Probably characters. The family dynamic felt rushed. It felt forced, very forced. Like, it felt like you need to care about these characters. You need to like them, which I did. I liked Yelena. I really liked Yelena. I think she was doing a better job than Natasha in this movie. I felt like it should have been Yelena's story more than, which I liked Yelena and Hawkeye as well. I want her to be back in more stuff. I think she's going to be in the Thunderbolts rumored show. I liked Red Guardian in this, even though I was kind of disappointed that they made him like a stupid, fat, alcoholic dad character, even though he was trying to be a dad character, but he was just terrible at being a dad. He was a terrible fighter, which is completely untrue about Red Guardian. He's one of the most insane fighters in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's basically the Russian Captain America. And they even said that in the movie. But, I mean, what did he do? He, like, jumped up a wall? I don't get it. I just wish they did more with his character. I really wanted to see more of Red Guardian. That was mainly the reason why I wanted to see Black Widow, because I was so excited to see Red Guardian on the screen. It was one of those characters where I didn't think would be represented in a Marvel movie. But, yeah, that's Black Widow. Iron Man 2, another C-tier movie. It was whatever. I mean, it was... Moving on. I really don't know what really... It was just a movie. It just felt like it happened. We can't do anything about it. And... yeah. I did like the characters in this, though. The only character I didn't like was Sam Rockwell's Justin Hammer. I didn't like him. He was only there just so he could get Whiplash, the insane, not comic accurate suit. I mean, it was close comic accurate, but it was still lame. Dog. Yeah, it was just okay. I did like the change in actors for James Rhodes or Rhodey. I liked Don Cheadle's Rhodey more than I liked the first Iron Man movie's Rhodey. Yeah, that's that one. Let's just say Eternals. Obviously, it's an F tier. It's F tier. I think you all know what happened with Eternals, so I don't need to explain what happened with Eternals. It was dumb, stupid, and visually dazzling though. I really liked the visuals. Moving on, I really don't want to talk about Eternals. It's such a boring movie just talking about it. I'm boring myself just talking about this. Captain America Winter Soldier, definitely it made Captain America cool. This definitely made Captain America seem like a really cool guy. A really insane bad A word. Try not to curse. The action in this movie, oh my god. I think this was the first movie the Russo brothers made, which we have to thank this movie because it gave us Infinity War and Endgame. Black Widow was a better character in this. I loved Nick Fury's insane, bad A word in this. He you want to see my license? Oh my god, I loved it. I loved that. Every scene in Winter Soldier, I really liked. I really liked what they did with Bucky. He didn't feel like just that best friend. He felt like a tortured character, and you really wanted to care about him. I really liked the spy aspect in this movie. I really liked that too. I'm running out of things to say. I feel like I'm trying not to ramble on, so I'm gonna stop. But Captain America: First Avenger, not much to say about this one. It's definitely B. I did like Red Skull in this. Yeah, other than that, I really don't have much to say about that movie. Captain America: Civil War, now that's a different story. This movie I have so much to say about. It was not only cool, but it... I said I had so much to say, but I can't even say anything about this. It was, now that I really think about it, it was just if Captain America Winter Soldier was more of an Avengers movie than a Captain America movie. It had the same action. It felt almost exactly like Winter Soldier. It had the same, like, spy aspect. It had the same, like, mystery aspect. It had the same, like, military aspect, too. It would, like, I don't know. I can't think of the name for the feeling, but, like, Winter Soldier had the scenes where it, like, cut to, like, the most gruesome things ever. Number one being Bucky assassinating the house guest. And Civil War had the Baron Zemo scenes where he was just alone, talking, and then that silent music, like the that little chord was playing every time Zemo popped up on screen. And then once he met with Tony and Bucky and Cap, it felt weird. I don't know. I can't think of the feeling. I can't put into words what these two movies felt like. Very spy-esque, very mystery, very militarized, very gritty. That's it, gritty. It felt very gritty. Didn't really feel as colorful as most Marvel movies. Like, you look at all the color these have. But, those two felt very gritty. Black Panther, obviously S tier. It put a lot to the table. Not only did it introduce us to Wakanda, but it introduced us to one of the top best villains ever in DC, in any movie ever, Eric Killmonger. Oh my god. This was Michael B. Jordan's redemption after Fan Four Stick. It put so much to the table. It deserved everything that came for it. It exceeded expectations. I had low expectations for this movie, I gotta say. It felt very futuristic. I really liked what they did with Wakanda. I really like how they had everyone feel like a whole family in Wakanda. I gotta say it again. I loved Eric Killmonger. I liked all the dumb fun Claw was having. Ulysses Claw. I liked all the stupid like fun he was having. He ended up got like shot immediately. General Ross, or Everett Ross, let's just say that, because there's two Rosses. Everett Ross was in this. So basically, if you think about it, Jim Halpert was in this movie. Because, Martin Freeman played Ross in this, but he also played Tim in The Office UK, and Jim Halpert was in The Office US. See? Connection. I mean, Jim Halpert's already in the Marvel Cinematic Universe if you count Doctor Strange, but yeah, that was Black Panther. Avengers Infinity War, S tier. I mean, do I have to say more? Wow, this, just one word, Thanos. Yeah, Thanos. Endgame, another word. Well, I'm going to put it at A tier, because not only was it funny, not only was it very, 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 very sad, not only was the action great, a lot of people liked this movie, and a lot of people think this is a really big and great, amazing movie, is because all the hype it had around it. But when you really think about it, it was just okay. It just felt like, when I rewatch it for like a sixth time, it feels just like an Avengers movie. Like, it happened, it was exciting, it was very teary, it was awesome. But it was just another Avengers movie if you really, really think about it. But you gotta hand it to the hype and the money this movie made. Seriously. I got 4 more left. Avengers Age of Ultron, definitely F tier. Definitely F tier. It is definitely F tier. This was the last movie Joss Whedon made in the MCU. It felt very bland. It felt really gritty. It felt way too gritty than need. The only thing I really liked about this movie was the team aspects, the dialogue, and Ultron. I really like what they did with Ultron, but I wish I saw more of Ultron. I like James Spader's Ultron. I like what they did with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch in this. What I didn't like was what they did with this movie. Basically, everything that has to do with making a movie, I hated about this. The only thing I liked, even the writing was bland. It felt very... The pacing. It was either super quick or it was super slow. Like, when Ultron is talking, the pacing is, like, cut down. But when he stops talking and he's still in the scene, it gets, like, really quick. I can't explain what went wrong in this movie really, but I'm glad that they got rid of Joss Whedon for this movie after what happened with Justice League. Because after what happened with Justice League, I was worried that they were going to have him direct Infinity War. Yeah, Ant-Man, the two Ant-Man movies. I'm not only excited to see Quantumania, because I really liked Ant-Man, but the first Ant-Man movie was okay. It solidified Ant-Man in the universe. It did a good job of it. It was okay. It happened, and I watched it. I liked it. It was fine. I just didn't... The only thing that I had a problem with it was that Edgar Wright wasn't able to direct it. And you could tell the tone shift in most of it, because I think he did... I'm still unsure if he had some scenes that he made in there still, or if it was just all Peyton Reed. But I was kind of disappointed that Edgar Wright wasn't able to, because I loved Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I loved Shaun of the Dead. I think he did that. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was Edgar Wright. I think he did Hot Fuzz. That was another good one. He directed a couple of episodes of both Office UK. I don't know if he did The Office UK, but I know he directed some Office US episodes. But that brings me to Ant-Man and the Wasp. It was miles better. It was miles better. The villain wasn't just a villain, like Yellow Jacket was. I didn't really like Yellow Jacket in Ant-Man, but I liked what they did with Ghost in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I felt like I really liked the villains where you can actually, you could root for if there weren't, if they were in their own shoes. If you were in their own shoes, you would understand. If you were in Yellow Jacket's own shoes, you wouldn't do what he did. You would kind of, pick up on how stupid you were being. But, yeah, I liked what they did with Ant-Man and the Wasp. I liked the aspect between Scott and Hope. It felt more guaranteed. It felt more understandable why they were attracted to each other. In the first movie, it just felt rushed, that leaves last one, Iron Man, the movie that kickstarted the MCU. We're ending off with. This movie was brilliant storytelling all around. It had a lot of responsibility. It had a lot of needs that needed to be made, because superhero movies at the time were not received well. Think the three movies that came out before this one was Ghost Rider, Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, the Fantastic Four, let's just say Fantastic Four in the second one, or one movie, and X-Men The Last Stand. Those are movies that this one had to build up from. There weren't many good superhero movies after that, and when there were good ones, they were just okay. Like the X-Men, the first two X-Men movies, they were just okay, but at the time they were great, because there weren't many great Marvel movies or superhero movies as a whole. Batman and this movie had to own up to so much, and it did it so well. It exceeded expectations for everyone, because expectations were low for superhero movies at the time. It wasn't. Let's say this. It wasn't... Another thing that this movie did right, it wasn't Amazing Spider-Man 2. Because obviously the writers of this movie knew that they had to make this the start of a universe and movies afterwards. But they didn't make that the main focus, which is what Amazing Spider-Man 2 did wrong. They made those future movies the main focus, which was a problem. Iron Man didn't do that. It made it mostly about Tony, which I really liked. The villain was okay, but I like when villains start off as like their best friends, and then they just like start turning you really start feeling sad for not only Tony but for the villain, which probably still deep down really wish that he stuck with him, you know. Other than that, Iron Man kickstarted the MCU off perfectly. It's been an hour and 40 minutes, and we went through everything Marvel related in the last decade. Actually, last decade and a half. Now that I think about it, yeah, this is our tier list right here. I can't really get a good look at it. Normal view. Okay, that's a bit better. That's a little bit better. This is our complete Marvel Cinematic Universe and Marvel movie tier list. We had some doozies, a bunch of doozies actually. Now that I think about it, yeah. Look at all these doozies right here. Oh yeah, but it makes up for some in S and A tier. To sum it up, Marvel is not perfect. Let's just say that. You might think that because they get all this budget and all the money in the entire world that all their movies will get value. Not all of their movies have entertainment value on them. Perfect example, Avengers Age of Ultron, Morbius, Venom, Hulk, Thor 2, Iron Man 2, Black Widow, Falcon Winter Soldier, Eternals, Captain Marvel, Amazing Spider-Man 2. They might get all the budget in the world, but they still have to have, money can't buy everything. Let's just say that. Money can't buy everything. Just because you have all this money doesn't mean that every single movie you're going to make is going to be amazing. They only made I'm probably just going to say all of S tier is completely amazing and flawless. Yeah. And even some of the S tier ones had flaws, but I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'm so glad to be back doing this kind of stuff. Like I said, I plan on doing reviews for most of these movies like I did with Food Fight, but I actually plan on caring this time. I plan on doing one with Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. I plan on doing one with Moon Knight, and I also plan on one doing with something else. But if you didn't know, I just started doing a collab channel with one of my friends. It's called the Paisano Gamers. If you want to check that out, links in the description. I will put it there. We do a lot of just gaming stuff there, which is why I'm going to make this kind of stuff the main focus, just talking about stuff, like doing most of my hobbies, that kind of stuff, talking about stuff that I really like. And I actually had an idea. I saw a Dead Meat short recently where James was saying he didn't really own the kill count kind of thing. And it made me think, what if I did kill counts on movies like the Marvel movies? Like I did the Marvel Cinematic Universe kill count. Like I did like a fan count, I would think of it as. I thought to start, if people didn't like that, I would start out with like a random movie, with that random movie being Tropic Thunder. I would do a kill count on Tropic Thunder, and if people didn't like it, I wouldn't do the Marvel Cinematic Universe kill count. Because most of these movies do actually have people dying in them. You don't realize. It might not be bloody, it might not be graphic, it might not be gory, but it does have deaths. So, if people don't like the Tropic Thunder one, I will not do this. But if they do, I will consider doing an Iron Man 2008 all the way to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness kill count. Which Multiverse of Madness, I want to start out with that one. That would be like the best one to do. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. I'm so glad to be back doing this. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, peoples.